Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video, wherever you are. Whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. Today we have some special guests that came by the studio, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. You start.
I'm Cade Powers with SWA Wrestling. This is Lazarus Change, a.k.a. Tyler Summerall from SWA Wrestling. That's
Now they wanted to come by the house because if you follow the channel that I always talk about the SWA show on the week of the show, and I will mention it again coming up before long because July 10th is our next show. But I want to let these gentlemen introduce themselves to the world as far as when they got in the wrestling business, how long they've been in the wrestling business, what made them want to get in the wrestling business, and I'm just going to sit back and let them talk. So, Cade, you start.
well, it's not really much to tell, I was introduced to wrestling at a very, very young age, and ever since I got introduced to it from my mom, I've always wanted to be in the business. Some of you might know this guy, Pete Zimmerman. Not very popular, but Pete Zimmerman is actually who got me my start in the wrestling business. This is before me and Pete Zimmerman were involved in the wrestling, or Pete Zimmerman was involved, I wasn't involved, and I had asked Pete Zimmerman how I could be involved, and he told me to come to training, and that was in 2015. I took my very first wrestling bump in 2015, and it's been a long, long road. And and his little story of getting into the business is a little shorter than mine.
Let us hear it, Tyler.
Okay. Well, he hit me up one day. You want to come join? And I said yes. And I've been in this business for about 3 months now, and it's been one heck of a journey.
Tell us how you got the idea, or where you got the idea of Lazarus Change. Because somebody out there is going to watch this video, and they're going to be like, where in the world did Lazarus Change come from?
Well, we was thinking about having we were figuring out what gimmick to do, and I said, let me be like
See, what we were going to do is, me and him were homeless after we lost our jobs at SWA the last time. And originally he wasn't going to say spare change only. Because if you look back at our very first promo, he actually said a little more than spare change. But the feedback we got from spare change was like so phenomenal. We were like, this has to be your new character. Spare change. It was a huge hit. Everybody was like, man, I love it. So we were like, okay, we're going to make him the homeless guy. And of course, all he can say is spare change. And that's sort of where his character came from.
I remember about, 3 shows ago, I think it was, he had a bucket on his stomach, and he was trying to walk around and collect some spare change, and he just kept saying, spare change, spare change. Now, are you going to want to be a wrestler one day, or are you satisfied being Cade's manager, or mouthpiece, whatever you want to call yourself?
Right now, hopefully one day be a wrestler, but I like where I'm at right now as a manager.
Do you? Now, do you guys want to branch out and start going other places, or are you happy with just being SWA?
That's, of course, the end goal. The end goal is to be wrestling at other promotions, but for right now, we're just sticking it out in SWA. We got a few things going on that really needs taken care of before we branch out.
Now, in case anybody missed the last show, y'all got a feud going on right now with David Bryce. Am I correct?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. See, Bryce Davidson, he was supposed to come wrestle Josh Bronner. And instead, he wanted to hide in the back and make me wrestle Josh Bronner. And, of course, me and Lazarus, we didn't know what was going on. And then David cuts this promo saying we're his dead weight and he doesn't need us anymore. That's okay. I'll talk more about this in front of the fans on Saturday, but David, it wasn't very wise to make enemies out of me and Lazarus. We have a little surprise for you Saturday. Don't worry about that.
And our next show at SWA will be coming up on Saturday, July 10th, which is a little less than 2 weeks away. We'll talk more about it as we get closer. I just wanted Cade and Lazarus to come by the house and introduce themselves to the wrestling world. In case you follow the channel, I know I always do a preview of the show and a review of the show, but sometimes you might hear a name and be like, who is that? Well, next time you hear the name Cade Powers or the name Lazarus Change, or if you come to a show and you hear this guy just say, spare change, or see a guy walking around with a bucket around his waist, then you know who it is. I always want anybody that's able and willing to come by the house to come by the house. I have no problem allowing you to get on here and introduce yourselves to the wrestling world. And speaking of wrestling, I want to go ahead and say that this upcoming Wednesday, my top 10 countdown is going to be about the all-time top 10 best big men. Now, in my opinion, to be a big man, you've got to either be 400 pounds plus, or you've got to be 6'10" plus. So if you have a favorite wrestler, whether it's current or former, that qualifies as a big man, please feel free to get on the YouTube comment page and let me know who you think are some of the best big men of all time. Cade, you have a favorite big man?
I do, actually. I have a few of them. I love big man wrestling. It's where I get a lot of inspiration for my moveset. But actually, Mark Henry has always been my favorite big man in the business. I've always been a fan of Mark. What about you?
You got one?
Paul White.
Paul White. Well, he was Big Show for so long. Now he is Paul White. So stay tuned for Wednesday, and we'll find out if Lazarus' big man or Cade's big man are on my top 10 list. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, please let me know. Somebody had asked me to do that like 2 months ago, and I do not recall who it was, but whoever it was, thank you for suggesting that, and we'll talk about that on this week's top 10 countdown. But I guess that's it for right now, and see if Cade or Lazarus have any final words before we sign off for the day. Anything else you want to say, Lazarus?
Spare change.
Spare change. What about you, Cade?
All fans of Brandon Todd's channel, please come out to the SWA show, support some independent wrestling. Come out to all independent wrestling in Georgia. They're all good shows. And, just support me and Lazarus. We're on this crazy, crazy journey. And, of course, support Ref Brandon.
Thank you guys so much for coming by the house. And if you ever want to come by again in the future, just let me know. And we'll see y'all for SWA on July the 10th. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.